got to celebrate people that bring something to your life, even if it's not a physical touch, which we have learned in this space, being virtual and needing to be virtual just to stay safe. And just so you know, we've all been tested and we've all been in quarantine at one point or another.
Exactly.
Girl.
Right before Thanksgiving.
Oh my God. I can't even do it. I mean, it was like everybody
it was
on staff. It was like
a
2 down,
effect.
1 down. Yeah, but praise God.
Right.
None of us got the coronavirus, but you know, those exposures are serious. But we have been very, very blessed that we did not contract the virus. I have a cousin in Orlando. I love my cousin to death. Paul, he's an administrator in Orlando, and another administrator that I really care about, you know, has the virus, and they're two hardworking individuals. So my prayers go up to my cousin and that other administrator. You know, we don't violate HIPAA in these streets.
Right.
So my love goes out to them, and I look forward to seeing you in 2021.
Be well.
Yes, absolutely. Be well. We're going to jump into these questions as soon as I can maneuver this phone that's not mine. Hold on, I got it.
All right. You got it?
I got it. Okay, so we're going to get to these questions that I have for Miss Kanyelle Bursack. We're digging into how, number one, which I've mentioned in other clips that you will see being uploaded over the next couple of weeks leading up to this one, we as a sisterhood must improve and do better with how we treat one another in this space. I said it and I'll say it again. Our ancestors would not be pleased with how some of us govern ourselves when it comes to the love and support that we should be showing one another in the culture. We need to show love and respect to all and those who show love and respect to us. But sometimes it's even hard to love individuals who don't show you that. But it costs you nothing to be kind. It costs you nothing to be kind. It's free. It's free of charge. So we're going to get into what it is to have natural hair and be a professional, and what we can do to help move this Crown Act forward. Again, I've mentioned the Crown Act. You can go to the Dove website, sign the petition so that we can reach 300,000 signatures, because we want to get the Crown Act discrimination law passed in all 50 states for the protection of everybody who wants to wear their natural hair in the workplace and in schools. This is for the protection of professionals and students. Going into our first question, what role did hair play in activities you felt you could or could not participate in, or did it play any role at all as it relates to your childhood and how you grew up?
Okay. Well, first of all, I grew up as an Army brat. My father was in the military, and I spent my entire childhood into my early adulthood as a child in the military. And so just in that context of a regimented life, where we followed rules.
Yes.
And my father was, and my mother both are real rule followers.
Sticklers.
Yes. So there was a certain way we had to be at all times.
Sure.
And so as a little girl, my mother, she would press my hair. And then when I went to the 6th grade,
it's always a year.
Yeah.
You remember that year? It was 11th grade for me. I understand. Keep talking, girl.
I did. I had a perm, and I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it, and I was flowing it and bouncing it around.
Sure.
And everything. But as far as activities, with that perm, it kind of changed for me, because prior to that, in elementary,
sure,
you know, I tried to play sports, but of course, you know, the minute you drop one bead
of sweat on them edges,
right, and so I would have to get my hair washed and repressed, which I did not like that. And especially with my mother, who was heavy-handed and always wanted to get that last little hair on the side.
Get you real good, burn that, and that little, grease, and that combination will sizzle right there on that skin.
Yes.
Yeah, we remember it. We remember it well.
Yes. So I kind of shied away from sports. You know, I did not want to have to constantly get my hair pressed over and over again. So
looking back, just pivoting, to pivot on that moment for a bit. transitioning in 6th grade, you remember that milestone from natural to perm, but you were active and athletic up until that point, because you knew that if you had 1 bead of sweat, knowing that there was a particular standard, because there's always a standard, old school, there's a standard, and it doesn't change for anybody. 1 bead of sweat takes you out the game, and then you have to go through that process all over again of that pain and that agony. Now knowing what you know now, what was that like, that process of being, were you frustrated when you would have to get your hair done over again? What was that like?
Well, I will say this. I grew up kind of in 2 different communities.
Okay.
So I had my parents' family, which they were from Alabama.
All right.
Deep South. But then when we went home, we were more in an urban setting with a lot of diversity.
Okay.
So when I was home with my cousins and all of them were running and playing, the sweating was okay.
Sure.
Even if my hair would then go revert back, it was okay. I knew I had to face getting it pressed, but everybody had the same issue, so it was okay. But then fast forward to going home, and now I'm around kids who are diverse from me, and they don't have the same issue. They can run and play and go home, wash and dry, air dry, and they're fine. You know, but for me, I've got to go through the whole process again. So then there was a torn between myself. I wanted to be like the kids that I was with every single day, and have that freedom, but my hair didn't do that.
And you know what's crazy? We have been so conditioned. We equate our hair to issues, process, and going through. Those are the things that we've said repeatedly right now. And that's the language associated with our natural hair. And I know I'm proud to say it, as a 50-year-old woman this year, going through that process, 49 going into 50, the epiphanies that I would have from the childhood experience to now are quite remarkable as to how conditioned we were and the own unconscious bias we had against ourselves that we didn't even know we were perpetuating. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It was an awakening.
What you just pinpointed when you said that, because being in where I am now, and I'm 46, where I am now, I just did the big chop. I did it in March.
Right before COVID.
Yeah, when school was put on quarantine.
Yes.
And we switched with that whole virtual. We were working from home. Yeah. And being home that entire time, I kind of had that same experience that you did with the Ralph Tres vent. I think I had the Ricky Bell.
Not Ricky Bell. Yes.
Experience. I mean, I took the scissors to my own head too.
Right.
And I just chopped it off. I was so exhausted with worrying about it. Oh, I need to put the perm in. I need to do this. I need to do that. I just said, you know what? Enough is enough. You're 46 years old.
Yes.
People are dying out here in these COVID streets.
That's right.
I need to change.
Sure.
And so I cut it. But that was only because I had gotten to that point. I had to let go of all those childhood feelings. And it really was, as I was chopping, I could feel it.
Feel that energy.
I could feel it
dropping
all just coming off.
I'm a little choked up internally, we have been in bondage as Black women, which leads me into my next question, where we have rejected our own beauty standards for years. The way God created us, we have rejected it ourselves, but we were so conditioned and lost, we didn't even know what we were doing. And that's what's so painful about it. And unfortunately, our mothers grew up in mine, as yours did too, a segregated South where that was the cultural norm and expectation. So they did what they felt was right to help elevate us and take us to the next level, not knowing that culturally and spiritually we were thwarting the very essence of God within us.
Right. And having
something
that
else.
You're right. Our mothers did, and they did what they needed for the time. So that we could be successful in our careers.
That's right.
You know, my mother is an educator.
Mine too.
Lifelong educator.
Yeah,
Yes,
mine
she
too.
is.
Okay.
And And you know, she always told me you have to wear your pantyhose, you have to
Yes.
you have to wear a skirt, you know, you have to wear a dress, have your makeup on, have your hair
pressed,
or pressed, curls,
Mm-hmm.
but you could not have it natural. And that was just something that she trained in me if I wanted to move forward in my career.
Absolutely. So did you, with the expectations of beauty, standards of beauty, was it ever a parallel that longer hair was better than short?
Definitely.
Definitely.
And I had long hair, which, you know, it was prized. You know, I was told, you know, that I'm not necessarily told in words that it needs to be longer, but when I wanted to cut it, no, you don't need to cut it.
Let me tell you something.
You know, you can trim the ends.
You can do a trim.
Yes,
God, that is the truth. Because till this day, my mother prefers my hair long, period. She doesn't really feel the natural. I know she doesn't. And even in the natural state, and she's seen more women of color with their hair natural in mainstream media, she's like, well, oh, it would be nice. I've seen some of the young ladies with the hair natural, and it's like down here. You mean long? I don't know if my hair will even do that because I think it's just going to be big and expand. I don't know. I probably have to wear 1.5 gallons of conditioner to weigh my hair down to get it to that state, and who's doing that? But again, it's a part of the conditioning and the culture. But they did it in love, and we wouldn't be where we are today without them. They didn't know.
And I will say, I even had, I started teaching in 2000. And the first school where I was, there was a African-American woman who was in leadership.
Okay.
An older lady, and I respected her highly. She came to me privately. We were the only 2 women of color on staff.
Okay.
She came to me privately, and she said, I need you to have your hair permed. Make sure she echoed the exact same thing that my mom had echoed, even though I walked in there looking like that.
Right.
She felt
it's not like you were like, 12 weeks into a perm and your touch up was out here with the new growth.
She came to me and she said, because when you're out in front of these people, I need you to look a certain way. Wow. Which is the exact same thing that my own mother had told me. And we were the only 2 people of color on the entire staff.
And isn't that, this leads me into the next question. How did professional norms and expectations impact you within your profession? We started in education about the same time. I started in 1999, you started in 2000. And oftentimes when you are one of the few or only people of color on staff, the person that's there before you doesn't want you coming on deck. Like, you're not gonna come up in here crazy. You're gonna follow these expectations and these norms because you make me look bad if you're not right, and vice versa. So have that hair together, have those clothes together. Don't come up in here like I just did, splitting some verbs because I'm at home and I'm relaxing and I'm not. Listen, I don't want to sound like Wendy from the Housewives of Potomac. With my 3 degrees and so forth, we're relaxed. This is a safe space, and we're kicking it because when we are professional, which we are always professional, but we're human too, and we like to have fun. And of course, it's scientifically proven. You code switch.
You do. That's exactly what you do.
Okay.
You learn how to code
how to code switch because I know growing up, for me, my cousins, the majority of them lived in an urban environment, and I lived in a non-urban environment where I was often the only Black girl, or maybe 2, for many, many years. So when I would come to the neighborhood and to visit family, you talking about, we used to call it cracking and joning. I was always the butt of every person's joke because I was the Valley girl talking in a non-Black cadence, if you will. And I had to learn to code switch to fit in because I wanted to fit in with my cousins. So again, let's be very clear. We are highly intelligent, polished and refined, sophisticated women who have been in the game for a long time. But we also know how to relax and let our hair down and keep it real and be organic. And that's just what we're going to do. And that's just what it is. I mean, I wouldn't say anybody needs to go up in an interview trying to, get the flow into Ebonics because you won't get the job.
No, you will not.
I'm not a proponent of that foolishness, but we're going to have fun on this show because it's not about being in a box.